Welcome back to the Wargrove of Woe, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the Daughters of Khaine subfactions, their lore, and their breakdown. Before we get started, I'd like to apologize for the lack of uploads for the past 2 weeks. I've been going through a lot in my personal life, mostly due to housing issues and not having a guaranteed place to live, but all of that has been more or less figured out, so regular uploads will resume. But I hope that the next few videos can make up for that. Without further ado, let's get started. First up is Hagg Nar, which I've given an A+ rating. Their army-wide ability is a +1 to the battle round when determining what abilities you get from the Blood Rights table. If you're unaware what the Blood Rights table is, Daughters of Khaine have a table that gives you cumulative buffs depending on what battle round it is, so Hagg Nar gets each of their buffs one turn earlier. So, for example, I've written down what each battle round the Hagg Nar subfaction gets all of their buffs. Battle round 1 is the +1 to run and charge. Battle round 2, they add on the hit rolls. Battle round 3, they add on the wound rolls. And then battle round 4, they get everything. So it's a really fantastic subfaction just to get your army running faster. Hagg Nar is the first and most prominent sect of the Daughters of Khaine. It is here that Morathi has her seat of power, and where she's established the first temple to Khaine in the Age of Myth. All Khainite followers must pilgrimage to Hagg Nar at least once in their lifetime. Think of it similar to any of the Holy Lands in the Middle East that many people must pilgrimage to. On the tabletop, Hagg Nar is a great general subfaction. You can run pretty much anything in Hagg Nar and you're going to have a fine time. You get your buffs active earlier, and if you're new to DOK, I think this is one of the best subfactions to take because you can't misplay it. It just makes things easier. Next, we have Khelt Nar. They have a B rating for me. Their army-wide ability is just army-wide retreat and charge. This is a very good mobility buff as it makes your army much more mobile and dangerous to fight for multiple turns. And it allows you to get Mind Razor off on the same unit in consecutive turns, so you can continue hammering home on some really high damage units. Khelt Nar are masters of hit and run tactics, and their first strike aims to stun the opponent with cursed blades, opening them up for a devastating second offensive. Khelt Nar also makes extensive use of Khinrai flocks. These are the winged Daughters of Khaine that can deep strike and generally annoy your opponent. On the tabletop, Khelt Nar allows you to be a lot more flexible with your units, and they work better with larger units, so you can get more bang for your buck on the retreat and charge and the Mind Razor. Additionally, they can maximize the effect of Cauldron Charge. So if you don't know any of the Cauldron variants, the Slaughter Queen on Cauldron, the Hag Queen on Cauldron, or the Bloodrack Medusa on Cauldron, they all have damage on charge. So you can charge, retreat, and then charge again, so you continue getting that damage. The other big synergy is with Mind Razor, of course, but I already mentioned that in the first slide. Next we have the Kraith, which I have given a B-. Their army-wide ability is after a friendly Sisters of Slaughter unit has fought, on a 4-up they can fight a second time, but with the fight last effect applied. So this is very simple. It's a very fun ability, but the various conditions applied to it makes it really hard to get a lot of value out of it. The 4+ is a little bit limiting. You're not going to get it on every single one of your Sisters of Slaughter. And then the fight last effect, depending on the order of operations of how or where your opponent fights back, can mean your Sisters unit might not be around to fight a second time. For the Kraith lore, even among the bloodthirsty Daughters of Khaine, the Kraith are known for their even more bloodthirst and battle craze. Additionally, the Kraith are known as the Crimson Cult. Their only goal is to spill blood and spill it in the name of Khaine. They have no issues of spilling the blood of allies as well as foes, meaning that a lot of Order factions don't enjoy the Kraith. They hold a special disdain for another sect of Khainite worshippers, the Draichi Ganeth, who the Kraith see as weak. In the tabletop, If you want to take the Kraith, you're really going to have to take a ton of Sisters of Slaughter to get use out of this subfaction. It's fairly difficult just because of all of the different conditions to get value from the Kraith, but it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of useful value when it goes off. Being able to fight a second time with some high impact units is really, really flavorful and fun. Before we move on, I'd like to give thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much, and a special thanks to Nick Hoff. Without you guys, it'd be much harder for me to upload at the rate I do and continue this channel, so thank you. If you'd like to become a Patreon member, there will be a link to this in the description below. Speaking of the Draichi Ganeth, I give them an A+. Their army-wide ability is a +1 to rend for Sisters of Slaughter and Witch Elves if they charge. This subfaction plays perfectly into what DOK already wants to do, which is strike really hard. So this subfaction is wonderful for that, because in your first turn of combat, you can get that plus rend and just try and turn whatever you touch into a puddle of red goo. So I think the Draichi Ganeth is one of the better subfactions out there. For the lore of the Draichi Ganeth, they translate to the Bladed Killers. And these Khainite followers practice the art of decapitation and execution. Among other Khainite followers, they are called the Executioner's Cult. Members of this sect don't color their armor and abstain from stealth and poisoning as they see it beneath them. On the tabletop, this is probably one of the best ones, tied with Hagg Nar, and getting that rend is super useful. Next, we have the Celebron subfaction, which I've rated at a B. The Celebron, their army-wide ability is they get access to a command ability that lets them teleport one Celebron unit in your movement phase 9 inches away from an enemy unit. This is very similar to the Khelt Nar, which gives you a lot of map pressure and flexibility, but in different ways. The Celebron sect are renowned for their stealth and assassination skills. Morathi herself often favors them as messengers, mostly lethal ones, but their members are also active in the public as blade dancers and gladiators. They have no known temples or home base to speak of and are nomadic. So if you want a traveling band of Khainite assassins, this is going to be the subfaction for you. On the tabletop, they are very similar to Khelt Nar, but one distinction that I would make is Khelt Nar is an offensive mobility subfaction and Celebron is more of a reactive defensive mobility subfaction, which both have their uses. If you plan to fight on multiple fronts or need to cover a lot more space on the board, Celebron is probably going to be a bit better than Khelt Nar. Last, and my personal favorite, we have Zenith Kai, which I give an A-. Their army-wide ability is Melusi units fight on death. This is a fantastic ability to get the maximum value out of your already hard-hitting elite units. If you want to run an all-snake army like what I run, then this is the subfaction to do it, because you'll get value in all of your units. And it's definitely a good thing to have because Melusi, they're a little bit more tanky due to their multiple wounds, but getting the ability to fight on death is still very good. The Zenith Kai also have a fantastic lore as they are known as the Blood Saints. They are the first and most revered of the Scathborn, and their sect comprise almost exclusively of Scathborn, but they keep a retinue of expendable witch elves to perform menial tasks and more or less to die for them on the battlefield. Morathi kept the Zenith Kai hidden from the world before her apotheosis, but afterwards they were sprung to the forefront of the Daughters of Khaine. The Zenith Kai are revered and treated as holy beings by any of the Daughters of Khaine. On the table type, this is your snake monster subfaction. You will get the absolute maximum value from your Melusi in this subfaction. An interesting thing to note is because it is fight on death, if a unit of Melusi has the Mindrazor buff when they fight, they will also get it when they fight a second time on death. So, something for you to know there. And that is all of the Daughters of Khaine subfactions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and before I end off, I just kind of wanted to apologize for the lack of uploads. It's been a little bit of a turmoilous time in my life lately, and I just haven't had the time or energy to upload, but hopefully all of that is over now, and I'll be uploading more frequently. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or a comment, and if you want to see more of this type of videos in the future, consider subscribing. This has been the Wargo of Woe, and I'll see you guys next time.